And John used to spend hours in makeup. He used to spend, oh my goodness, more than 5 hours maybe sitting in makeup with that mask. Oh, another thing that happened is that I understand there was a correction on the mask on Sloths. They didn't seem to feel that it quite measured up to what how they wanted it to look. You understand? And Sloth had been doing most of the film during Astoria and Oregon, all that area with the mask. But something must have gone wrong at the end that they just didn't like it. You understand? Because from my understanding, the mask that we used in Astoria was similar, but yet maybe perhaps different for the camera, maybe so. And that the little ears and all of that that he needed to utilize. And so that must have been some, but he used to spend hours, and the poor guy used to spend his time in his dressing room in a trailer that was built just, I mean, the man was humongous. He was what, 6'9", weighed about 300 pounds. So an average dressing room was not a, and then the mask weighed, you'd have to ask the makeup people that did him, it was quite heavy. And he was always eating French fries and drinking milkshakes because the mask was about that far away from his own mouth, so he couldn't eat. Once he was in it, he couldn't eat normal. And I'll tell you a story that is really great. When was it? I met the young lady. I don't know what we were doing, but she says, "I'm your double. I'm your stunt double." And I said, she was a tiny little, thin, scrawny looking, little, tight, short little gal, you know. And she says, "I'm going to be your stunt double because apparently there's a stunt in there in the film." And I said, "What stunt?" You know, I didn't know anything about no stunt. And then she says, "When you're crossing the street, I'm going to be," and she was a stunt woman that came in from Florida. She had just been doing a Cocoon. She's the when Ki Kwan flies. Remember, he flies down to the house from some house, and then he comes down on an area line like that. That was her. She had the body of a little girl, a little boy. And then she had to double me, and so they made her a humongous fat suit. And I said, "Oh, is that what I look like?" And she stood there in front of the mirror, and she said, "I got a chest." She said, first time I got a chest," and she was so proud of that. So Dick Donner comes, and he says, "You know, Lupe, you're crossing the street, and there's no way we can get away from this with this stunt." He says, "We got to see your face. We got to see that it's you. It can't, because we cannot shoot her from behind. We can't do it." So he says, "It's going to have to be you. I mean, are you up to it?" And I've always been up to just about anything, really, within reason. And so I stand there, and he says, then the stuntman came, and he says, "Look, you've got a half inch that way and a half inch this way, but no more than that or whatever." He says, "Don't move this way. Don't move back. Don't move to the right. Don't move to the left, because the cars are going to be coming right at you. They're going to near miss like that." Remember at the beginning of the film, and she's jumping out and like, when the cars are coming by, but they were coming, let's say, at 60, 70 miles an hour. They were coming fast with the stunt drivers. So, I mean, that was hilarious and he used it to begin the film when all the credits are coming down.
How many times did you have to shoot it?
Oh, I don't remember, but I got scared, but I said yes, and I was a trooper. I don't even know if they paid me for stunt overtime. In the scene where it was raining, it was always raining, and I know he talks about it in the documentary, that it was raining every hour on the hour, something like that. It was really hard for them to film. And I came in with the groceries. Remember when Mikey is tied down and he's upside down? And I come in, I see him. And so my reaction was of yelling, because I see this child. This is the first time I go to the house. So I didn't know what to expect. And the bag broke. The bag, because it got wet because it was raining out there. And so it just tore, and all the groceries fell out. And Dick had the camera on the floor, and he says, come on, just kick it. And I started kicking the groceries as I was bending down. It's hilarious. And I was down to Mikey's level when he says, help me. I said, yeah, ahorita. And she's kicking. That was so funny. My understanding, too, is that John Matuszak I mean, that was a shocker when we lost John. I mean, it was totally, I mean, the man was what, 34, 35 years old. But because he'd had so many injuries and what have you as a result of being in football, after we finished filming the film, I think I heard that he had to go into a hospital to be put in traction. And he had so many injuries, his body was just, you know, what can I tell you? It had to be pulled back together to come back together in place again, I guess. But he had worked very hard because John just sitting in that makeup chair for 5 hours prior to filming and then having it removed. And then they had to be careful with that because it was outrageously expensive, you know, that makeup that they did. And I remember we'd go into the trailer in the mornings in Astoria and the makeup was frozen because it was so cold. They had to wait for the makeup to melt a little.